Hi, it's Elizabeth with the Weekly Tasting. This week's pack, whites for red lovers. Now, if you love reds and you're looking for whites with similar weight and body, or if you are or know a red wine lover who won't try whites, this is the pack for you. Now, we're offering this pack because I feel like whites often get the short shrift. They're seen as thin, or they're seen as porch sippers or an afterthought. But I am here to tell you that they can be every bit as complex and sometimes as full as reds. We have 4 stunning examples here from the powerhouse players of Europe. We have 2 from Italy, 1 from France, and 1 from Spain. And what these wines are going to show you is that whites can be full, they can be rich, and they can be very, very different. A Ribolla Gialla from Friuli Venezia Giulia, which is a nice tropical tasting wine, soft on the cheeks with nice acidity. Fiano di Avellino, which is from Campania, an outstanding wine which has roots in ancient Roman wine, so tasty and delicious. A wine that's a white garnacha from the Navarra region of Spain. It's almost like a mini Chateauneuf de Pape Blanc with lots of really fascinating flavors. And then a Pinot Blanc from Alsace, France, the quintessential full white wine region. All of these wowed me, and more than that, my husband's less of a fan of whites, and he loved these because they were like reds. So the textures are heavier. They reminded me of reds. I bet if I put these in a black glass, you would never know whether or not they were white or red. There's some personal favorites in here. I love each and every one of these wines. You might not love all of them, but I guarantee that each of them you will find totally different from the whites that you're used to. So we should get to tasting right now. This wine is the Meo Fiano Di Avellino, and it is an outstanding example of a white for red lovers. It's full, it's bold, it's satisfying. Let me tell you a little bit about the area first, and then we're gonna get to the wine, which I know you're gonna say, oh my gosh, it fits so well into this pack. So it's from Campania, which is where Naples and the Amalfi Coast are, but this is from the mountainous area. It's internal, it's away from all of those tourist areas, and because of that, the area was all but abandoned and pretty poor for a really long time, and these native grapes, like Fiano and some others, were growing here, and they were almost wild at a certain point when some quality-minded producers who lived in the area said, you know what, we should really forget about other grapes and concentrate on our own, because Fiano, for instance, is a grape that was used in ancient Rome, in the wines of ancient Rome, and we have records of this, like from 121 BC, and all of this great historical evidence that Fiano and others from Campania were used and lauded. So we know that these are fantastic quality grapes, and when you taste it, you're gonna see why they decided to revive it. If you look at the color, it's kind of a pale straw in the middle, but around is a really rich golden color. This comes from a little bit of skin contact. These grapes have a nice long Mediterranean growing season. They ripen with time, and then let's give it a swirl and a sniff. Honeysuckle, apricot, lime, mineral. Let's give it a taste. And of course, this is where the action is when we talk about whites for red lovers. The texture is so smooth and mouth-coating. It's bold, it's a satisfying wine, it's lush, it's got a really long finish with flavors of honeysuckle and floral notes. It's got some almond paste, like the inside of an almond croissant, hazelnut. It's got fruit, it's got earth, it's got acid. This is a great one with white pizza, with earthy soups, mushroom dishes, basil pesto, chicken with sauteed herbs, hard cheeses. An awesome wine, and you get to taste a little bit of history from this white for red lovers. The Gustave Lorentz 2015 Pinot Blanc is from an area in France called Alsace. Now, if you're familiar with Alsace, you know that these wines tend to have this roll around your mouth quality. They tend to be richer and fuller, which is really strange because it's in the northeast corner of France. It borders Germany, which tends to have higher acidity, and the wines come from a cooler climate. But Alsace is in this very awesome, strange area where on one side is the Rhine in Germany, and on the other side is this mountain range called the Vosges, which protects this area from all of the bad weather that's coming in from the Atlantic. And that means that this is the driest place in France and also one of the sunniest. So that is going to lead to these white wines, which is what they grow here, that are rich and full and really awesome for red lovers. So that is why it's in this pack. I love this producer. They've been around since 1836, certified organic if you care about that. It's a real terroir-driven Pinot Blanc, much more character than some of the others that are out there. Take a look at the color on your white surface, and what you're gonna see is that it's a golden color, kind of a rich color. And let's give it a swirl and a sniff. Apricot and limes. Hey, it smells like sweet grass. It's got a really strong sweet grass smell. And let's swirl it one more time and give it a taste. It tastes like what I would imagine sweet hay to taste like. It also has this fresh and dried apricot note and a little bit of vanilla. And the acidity is keeping this fresh, but there's still this cheek coating roundness about this wine that makes it so lovely. And that's what you're gonna find anytime you get an Alsace white. It has this roll around your mouth quality. This wine in particular is in the pack because it's an excellent bridge between a regular white and some of the fuller styles that you're gonna see in this pack, which really are quite bold and rich. So in terms of food, you could go with grilled zucchini, you could have it with a salad, you could have it with fish in a citrus or herb sauce, chicken and an herb, citrus or herb sauce, goat and creamy cheeses. It's incredibly versatile, a tasty wine, and like I said, a perfect bridge between traditional white and these fuller styles, although it definitely belongs in a white for red lovers pack. This one is the 2015 Ricitos de Oro Navarra White. Now you might have, if you ordered the Grenache pack, seen this in the red version, but this is a completely different wine. In Navarra, which is the area that actually includes Pamplona, where the running of the bowls is, it is a continental region, but it also has Mediterranean influences and Atlantic influences. Only 10% of the wine in this region is white, and a smaller percentage of that is white garnacha. So you should enjoy it because very few are able to. And from Ricitos de Oro, which means Goldilocks in Spanish, the vineyards have been around since medieval times. A really old vineyard. It's got great, well-drained soils. White garnacha is getting flavors here that you're not gonna find elsewhere. Garnacha or Grenache, white Grenache, is the main grape of Châteauneuf de Pape and white Priorat also. So this is another example of a very unique and awesome white wine that is full, bold, and rich. And let's look at the color. It's kind of a golden yellow, and we'll swirl it and smell it. It's got apple and pear up front, but if you keep sniffing this wine, you're gonna see that it's got this Thanksgiving note to it, almost like fresh pumpkin or fresh squash, like after you carve out the pumpkin, even like pecan pie. You're not gonna be able to stop smelling it. It smells, there's just so much in it, you gotta keep going. So, all right, but we don't have time for that, so we're going to give it a swirl and a taste. So this is a wine of contrast. On the one hand, it's broad and cheek coating. On the other hand, there's a slight bitter note to kind of cut that lushness and keep it refreshing. You're gonna find this unusual contrast of flavors. On the one hand, it's kind of nutty and warm. On the other hand, it's like that squash or carved pumpkin note or raw sweet potato. And it is one of the most unique whites I've had. You've gotta keep sipping it. I think at first it seems simple. Have it with food, absolutely. A warm baguette and some cheddar cheese are gonna make this wine taste like warm nuts. You can have it with Mediterranean dishes. You can have it with grilled vegetables, grilled chicken, but I'm telling you, a baguette and cheese are gonna make this wine shine. It is definitely a white for red lovers. This wine is the Forchir Ribolla Gialla 2015. And this is a wine that's gonna make you say, what the heck is this wine? Listen, this is a weekly tasting. We're asking you to experiment and travel through your glass. So let's go to Northeast Italy, where Ribolla Gialla is from Friuli, Venezia Giulia. It's in the northeast corner of Italy. It borders Slovenia. By the 1990s, this grape was nearly wiped out by international varietals being planted, Sauvignon Blanc and Merlot mainly, as they were trying to appeal to a larger market. But a revived interest in native grapes, which you're going to see again in the Fiano, brought this grape back to life, and now it is making a triumphant comeback, and thank God, it is so tasty. Let's taste it. First, we're going to look at it. Like a lot of these wines that are whites for red lovers, it is a golden color. We see that it's ripe and full, maybe a little bit of skin contact here. I was actually slightly worried when I saw the color because I thought, is that going to be sweet? Is it going to be heavily oaked? But it is neither, thank goodness. So give it a swirl and a sniff. Tropical fruit, pineapple and guava. You will smell a little bit of acidity, maybe a little bit of a limeade smell, and let's taste. Now what you're gonna get here is pear and honeydew melon, some ripe apple, pineapple, lime, some honey. It's got a significant body compared to most whites. It has a little bit of a bitter bite on the finish. That dissipates a bit if you serve it at about 50 degrees Fahrenheit. You want to have this wine a little bit warmer to allow it to express its aromas. This is a bold and flavorful wine. You want to have it with white fish with maybe a mango salsa or spring pea risotto, grilled fish in a butter sauce. All these kinds of things are going to go really well with this wine. Soft, smooth, fantastic, and a great one to discover. Well, I hope I proved to you that whites can be every bit as interesting and complex as reds. They're super flavorful, and look, they're half the wine world. They've got to be explored. Please feel free to give us feedback on these wines, and of course, check back on Monday for the next available pack.